So I finally got around to seeing Creed 2, and here are my thoughts on it. So in Creed 2, Victor Drago, the son of Ivan Drago, he issues a challenge to Adonis Creed, the son of Apollo Creed, in a battle of the new generations to see which family will come out on top. And kicking off with the positives here, the acting in this movie was basically flawless. I couldn't think of a bad performance here. Michael B. Jordan is just great as always. Like I said before, I'm really waiting for him to slip up. I hope he doesn't, and I haven't seen it yet. This guy is just basically unstoppable right now. It's not like he does anything super new in this one compared to the first Creed, but he does exactly what he's supposed to and executes extremely well. And Sylvester Stallone is also great. He's not quite as prominent in here as he was in the first Creed, but that's okay because it's not really his story. It's kind of drifting away from him a little bit, but that's not to say that he still doesn't have some really good moments, because he definitely does. And he definitely shines when he is on screen. Tessa Thompson is also great, as usual. I can't think of her really doing anything wrong recently. As Bianca, Adonis's wife, and they have some new dynamics going on in this movie, some new stuff happening, and she does a really good job of showing the emotion of that, and supporting him and being his kind of voice of reason at times, basically like she was in the first one. And now she has some stuff going on with her that he has to help with as well, so they really do a good job balancing each other out and, helping each other fight through separate things when needed. And I also got to talk about the villains here, because this movie definitely solved the villain problem of the first Creed. You got Victor Drago, and you got Ivan Drago. And Ivan Drago is a very complicated character in here, which is a lot different than he was in the first the first time he was on screen in Rocky 4. In this, he is a very broken character. He's betrayed by his people, the Russian people. His wife left him, and he's really bitter towards society, and that he kind of takes that out on his son Victor a little bit. And you really feel for Victor in that situation, and you're like, it kind of sucks that he has to go through this, but at the same time you feel for Ivan, because you understand why he feels this way and why he's acting the way he is, because things did not go the way he expected, and he's really he really feels betrayed, and he really wants to make up for it, the mistakes he made, by through his son. So he really projects that on him and is really hard on him, but you can tell that his intentions are really good, and their dynamic is a very interesting one. But honestly, I wanted a little bit more of that. People praised their relationship between Victor and Ivan, and that they're more complicated villains than we expected. Ivan Drago was he was a kind of a caricature in Rocky 4. He was a robot that just said a few things and was basically a cartoon character for Rocky to punch in the face and for us to hate. A lot different here. Like I said, people were praising that relationship between them, but I just wanted a little bit more of it. They made it seem like it was very prominent, but there was really only a couple scenes that showed that, other than the fight itself. I wish we would have gotten a little bit more, just a little bit more of that, to understand the relationship, because it is probably the most interesting thing, most intriguing thing going on in this movie, and that was not at all expected. The directing by Stephen Caple Jr. was quite good. He did a really good job stepping in for Ryan Coogler. A lot of people, including me, were very skeptical when Coogler got replaced, because he's a very good director, and he did a very good job with the first one. Caple isn't probably quite as good as Coogler, but he's close. I mean, he did a really good job filling the shoes, and showing what he could do. And this guy's definitely going to get a lot more directing jobs, which is really nice. He's definitely gotten his name out there now. Like the first Creed, there's a lot of really emotional moments in this movie, and the actors that are in them do a very good job portraying what's going on, and you really believe them. They also ended this movie on pretty much a perfect note. If they never do another Rocky or Creed movie, I would be 100% satisfied. And honestly, I kind of hope that that's the way they go. I can't even begin to stress how perfect this ending was. I couldn't think of any possible better way for this series to end. And I can't exactly touch on to that, but there's some things that happen that some characters choose to do that really feel good, make you feel good, and you're like, wow, this is perfect. This is very satisfying. So I feel like doing more would possibly ruin it. Now, this movie is far from perfect, so I'm going to touch on a few of those negatives here. First of all, it's very formulaic. It definitely has the Rocky formula, and you can see that, and you can really tell where things are going for the most part. If you've ever seen a Rocky movie before, if you've ever seen pretty much any action movie before, it's not really hard to figure out where things go. There are a lot of themes repeated from other Rocky movies, a lot of history repeating itself, poetic justice. There's actually a couple moments, one I can think of in specific, where something happens kind of the opposite of the way it did before in the past, and even though it's different from what happened before, it's not exactly unexpected either. So yeah, a lot of formulaic, predictability here, but that's not exactly. I mean, what did you expect from the eighth movie in the Rocky series? Most of them have been like this. So if you're expecting something with a bunch of twists and turns, you are probably going to be disappointed, and I don't know why you'd expect that in the first place. Another small negative I have is there's a character that's in the movie for like the first half, quite prominent. He's like a boxing promoter, and he's kind of disappears for the second half. I just don't really know why they put so much importance on this guy and showing him everywhere, and then he kind of disappeared. It felt like he was unnecessary, that he wasn't really needed to move the plot. So I feel like it was just kind of unimportant and just kind of unnecessary for him to be there as much as he was. It just felt kind of shoehorned in. Like, I don't really understand why they did that. Another small thing is that there is no way in hell that Adonis Creed and Victor Drago would be in the same weight class. There is no chance. Not only is Victor Drago built like a rock, and he is pretty much the most buff person, like one of the most buff people I've ever seen. Dude is fucking huge. He's also like a foot taller than Adonis when they're standing next to each other, before the fight, and like, in the weigh-ins and stuff, he just towers over him. And you're like, there is no way in the real world that they would actually fight each other, be in the same weight class, and also Adonis would never have a chance. Another small negative here, and this is also kind of unfair because the Rocky series has been doing this for a long time, but I also feel like I have to touch on it. The movie is just really, it goes drama, training montage, and then fight over and over. And then you're just kind of like, okay, and some of the drama is not, you don't really feel the stakes because everything is going to work out okay. So there's not a ton of worry. You don't feel like people are really in danger. So yeah, it's just, like I said, predictable, absolutely, but still a very good movie, and probably one of the best movies in the series. Despite those negatives, I really did enjoy this movie. This is it's well directed, well made, is very well acted. The best performance maybe of Dolph Lundgren's life. And the kid, his son, Victor, has never even acted before, and he did a really good job. I can't think of anyone who really slipped up here. So that's probably the most important thing, is believability with what the people are going through and what they're doing. So the fact that that was executed as well as it was makes the movie a really fun watch. But yeah, like I said, just the predictability, the formulaic, Rocky series, it's all easy to know where it's going, and that weird character, boxing promoter character that was prominent but then not, and just really unnecessary. And also the fight sequences were good, but not as quite as good as the first Creed. There was too many quick cuts, and it just didn't feel quite real. and they were taking a lot of punches, and just they kind of went back a little bit to the cheesiness of the original Rocky movies, with the fights, a little bit more towards that as opposed to the realisticness that was in the first Creed, and I wasn't a huge fan of that. But again, I still really enjoyed this movie, and it was good. It wasn't great, but it was good. Pretty much what I expected. Honestly, nothing really didn't let me down, but didn't exactly blow me away either. So as far as a rating for Creed 2, I'm gonna go with 7.5 out of 10. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button, and if you want to see my future reviews, and next I'm actually doing a ranking for the Rocky series, so don't miss that. Hit that subscribe button. See you next time.